Yeah, the standard of movie. Yeah, the standard of movies lately has just not really been that impressive. Um, um, yeah, the performances, all solid performances. All solid performances. There was no bad performances, but I just think I don't know. I don't know. I'm struggling to find the words. So I might have to do it through interpret dance, the lowest form of art. So my my criticism, my my criticism with the plot. Now, Wes Anderson films, they're never really. My criticism with the plot secondary to the movie, but I found the plot in this film was so linear, and even like shoved in your face how linear it was. It was actually anti-clockwise because he drew a map of everywhere where he had to visit to tick off each different section of the Phoenician scheme, and he had a margin of error that he was able to renegotiate his budget. He had what he wanted and then what he could actually afford without going bankrupt in the end. And it was person A, person B, C, D, E, box ticking exercise. There was no like back and forth, and it just accumulated friends as it went along. I think I think that's fine, but then I think that's fine, but then the like Wes Anderson films, they've always been about characters and comedy and the Wes Anderson films have always been the Wes, the Wes Anderson films have always been really the characters in Wes Anderson films have always been so well fleshed out. And the characters in Wes Anderson films have always been so well fleshed out and so there's been so much depth, but they've been so entertaining, so contrasting. They're so memorable, like all the Royal Tenenbaums or from the what was it? The Royal Tenenbaums or from the so memorable films. Oh, so there's Tenenbaums, The Life Aquatic. Oh, so there's the Royal Tenenbaums, The Life Aquatic, Grand Budapest Hotel. Like as soon as you think of them, you can see the characters, not necessarily the plot, which I think is Wes Anderson's style. In fairness, but I think in this movie, it just it just came across as being Wes Anderson light, and the character it didn't have that wit that all Wes Anderson films do. I think I laughed out loud on one occasion. Um, Asian. Whereas usually, um, whereas usually it's just his quirky turns of phrase or observations, but I just felt it just wasn't here in this. And I think it's been like that for the last few Wes Anderson films, to be honest. So there's been the Phoenician Scheme, Asteroid City, didn't really rate. No, I didn't rate it at all, to be honest. And the French Dispatch. Again,
We will shortly be arriving at
now,
Monastref. Please
does
mind the gap. Thank you for travelling
Dispatch.
with Euro there.
again, now, do, he has got very unique style of filmmaking, which he does. He has got very unique style of filmmaking, which I think is more impressive to stick with that. But this film, it just overall felt like Wes Anderson light, because the sets, they were amazing, but they didn't pop like the usual Wes Anderson sets do. And then the cinematography was very static compared to what you think of the classical Wes Anderson, that it's so choreographed, all the movements are so deliberate. This just seemed very static, symmetrical, just minimal, really minimal, really Wes Anderson light. And the same with the script writing, the dialogue. It didn't have that sharp back and forth that Wes Anderson movies usually do. And like I said, I think it's been like that for the last 3 films. I think really since the Grand Budapest Hotel. Oh no, the Isle of Dogs. The Isle of Dogs. I think since the Isle of Dogs, it hasn't really had a blockbuster, showstopper, whatever you want to call it, movie. You had a blockbuster, showstopper, whatever you want to call it, movie. Is anyone watching it at home? So now we're going to get into my rating of this film, and as you can guess, it's probably not going to be the highest. So on a rating of, if you're looking at this, so on a rating of Asteroids, so on a rating of Asteroid City to Grand Budapest Hotel, I'm going to have to give it 6. So on a rating of Asteroid City to Grand Budapest, so from a rating of Asteroid City to Grand Budapest Hotel, I'm going to have to give it 6. So on a rating of Asteroid City to Grand Budapest, so on a rating of Asteroid City to Grand Budapest Hotel is a 6 from me. So if you enjoyed this review, please give a comment below if you've seen it. If you've seen the If you've seen the Phoenician scheme, if you've seen the Phoenician If you've seen the Phoenician scheme and you agree or disagree with what I have to say, please leave a comment down below and hit that subscribe button. It would really mean the world to me. And as always, thanks for coming. If you're watching at home, please hit that subscribe button. This week I saw the Phoenician scheme and now I'm going to give it a review. I'm going to do a plot in 60 seconds, I'm going to talk about the performances, I'm going to talk about the plot a bit more in depth, I'm going to talk about the Wes Anderson style and how it was applied in this movie,